to Survive and Advance on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I am your co-host for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, a man who is about to get another ring for being in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame. Help me welcome to the show, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing fine today, Mike. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great whenever I get to talk to you. Next up, we have...
Well, the feeling's mutual, Mike. The feeling's mutual. I sincerely enjoy my time with you on the air. I'm sorry you don't feel that way, but I really enjoy Passion Craft out with you.
Why do you think that I don't feel that way?
That was kind of a sarcastic way of saying it, but that's Mike Goodpaster style.
I love to talk to anybody, especially in front of thousands of people where I know that I'm a lot smarter than him, because it always makes me look even smarter. Speaking of which, we have two more people that fall into that category. First up, the NBA beat writer, Cole Hanna. How you doing, Cole?
I'm doing all right, fellas. I'm doing all right.
All right. And another man that definitely falls into that, category was Steve and Cole from the Sheridan Report, Bobby Sheridan. How you doing, Bobby?
I'm doing great. I'm here early, and I'm happy about it.
Sure you are. None of us are happy about this, but it's got to be done. All right, let's start off with this. Last night, I think...
Wow, really? What? That's how you feel?
About what?
It's got to be done? Well, we can just hang up and not do the show if you don't want to do it.
You know what? From now on, I'm going to introduce Steve as Little Stevie Butthurt Risley. What do you think? Because everything offends him. He's like our social justice warrior. There's our diversity on this show.
Wow.
Yes, I agree with you, Mike.
Cole, do you want to make it a three-way agreement?
Bobby, if I was on Pornhub right now, I'd have a few words for you, but I'm not, so I've got to just control what I'm saying. So.
All right, guys. Let's start off with James Harden drops 58 last night. The Rockets beat the Heat, Bobby. Are the Rockets capable, when healthy, of winning the West?
Absolutely. I mean, a year ago, they you alluded to it last week. A year ago, they would have probably won Game 7 had Paul not been hurt, and I think they've gotten a little bit better this year. And maybe still have Golden State. We don't know about that, but most experts believe that's the team that can take them down.
All right. When we look at the West, Cole, the Denver Nuggets right now are only a half game out for home court advantage. Oklahoma City 4.5 games back. Portland sits at number 4, 4.5 back. How much danger is there here for the Warriors? Because they haven't looked good the last week. Really, they've lost 19 games, which, hell, if we remember a couple of years ago, they didn't lose that in a season. What other teams here can threaten them? Are the Denver Nuggets a legit threat, or do you think they're too young right now?
No, I think Denver's a legit threat. I think Oklahoma City can give them a run for their money, and obviously Houston's a team that's put in that category. The issue is Golden State, whether they're struggling or not, that team is so far and away the most talented team in the NBA. I have trouble seeing a team that's going to knock them off, to be blunt about it. I certainly think Denver can give them a run for their money. I know that's a young team, but that's a team that just work. They work well together. They don't necessarily have the superstar talent in Denver, but they just have really, really good players up and down that roster. I think there's a little bit of danger there for Golden State. There's some real talent and depth in the West this year. But I don't know if any of those teams can pull off the upset, so to speak. But,
right. Cole, come on, Cole. Denver has Gary Harris, who I coached in high school.
Yeah, we know how that works out. Hey, Colin Hartman, Steve coached Colin Hartman too, and as soon as he got out of college, he's doing the Indiana basketball show with me and Steve. So
because Colin Hartman is Colin No Heart Man.
Actually, Steve, though, on what you said, that's the reason why Denver's so good. Gary's probably missed about half the year too, and they're still only a half a game out of the West.
I'll tell you, Cole's catching on really quick, Bobby, with how we attack Steve mercilessly.
I love Cole. I don't have much love for Bobby, but I love Cole, so that's good.
Well, let's give it a month of NBA shows. How about that? And we'll see how that goes. Steve.
We'll see how it turns out. Yeah.
Is anybody a threat to Golden State? And if there are, who do you think is the biggest threat?
You asking Cole that or what?
No, I was asking
you. You asking Steve? Okay, all right. No, I don't think there's really a threat to Golden State because here's what happens. The NBA starts getting serious right about now. They start playing good basketball. They dig in, and teams start playing great ball. And I don't think there's a better basketball team in the NBA than Golden State. And I know Harden in Houston looks good right now, but he's putting up a lot of points on his own. But I just don't see that team being strong enough. I don't see anybody strong enough to challenge Golden State.
Wait a second now.
Because that's a great basketball team.
So when does stuff get effectively serious? Is it today or is it after the All-Star break or what?
Mike, and it's just how I view the NBA.
No, this is a serious question. Was 3 days ago
or a week
ago, was it serious?
I think after the All-Star break, it starts getting serious, and different teams step up their games. At this point, you're seeing Denver step up. You're seeing Houston step up. Golden State's, going to step up big time. Oklahoma City's got the talent too, but I don't know if they'll step up. I don't know if they'll step up.
After the All-Star break, you step things up. So if something was to have
that's how I see it. Now,
if something was to have happened in the last week where, let's say the Houston Rockets played Golden State and James Harden was hurt and didn't play, do you think Houston would have a chance against Golden State?
No.
Okay. Bobby, do you think
I don't think they have a chance with Harden scoring 58.
Okay.
Because
Bobby,
I believe that Steph Curry will drop 40 on top of that.
And
they've got 4 or 5 other.
Answer the question. Okay.
Yes, I am going to continue to answer.
The question was simple. Bobby, do you think that in the last week, if the Houston Rockets didn't have James Harden, do you think they could go beat Golden State?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you think that, Bobby?
Because Houston has been as good an offensive team when one of them is on the floor versus the other. When Paul was out, Harden was going crazy with his points. Paul came back. They've set Harden out some games. They haven't missed a beat. They're learning to play together and put their best foot forward with them together. They're a better defensive team with Paul on the floor. He actually is the more important player of the two.
Oh, yeah, I think that was proven in the playoffs last year, too.
Yes, it was proven in the playoffs, and he is now healthy and playing great basketball, and all they need to do is get into the top 4, which they're only, as of right now, a game and a half back of that, which they will do that. They got to catch Portland or OKC, and they have a big opportunity to beat Golden State in the playoffs this year. Denver has
right now they're in 5th place, which means they're not going to get a home court advantage on the first series too. Because right now they're in Golden State, Denver, Oklahoma, Portland. They're in 5th place. They're going to play on the road.
How far behind Portland are they with 20 games left?
A game and a half.
A game and a half.
Yeah, and Utah's lurking at the bottom. That can upset somebody. Utah will beat Oklahoma City or Denver in the first round of the playoffs.
And Mike, can I add on? Hey. Can I add on? I think the Rockets can upset Golden State without James Harden, and I think it's where you're going with it because they already did that, right?
Yeah. Thank you. All right. This was like a week ago, Steve, without James, or a couple weeks ago, without James Harden at Golden State. Houston beat them 118 to 112.
Right, that's a regular season game where nobody gives a crap.
No, wait. That would be fine if you wouldn't have already made it quite clear that after the NBA All-Star break, things get serious.
All right, I'm an idiot. I'm done. I'm going to watch today's show. You guys go ahead and talk. I hate the NBA anyway, so it doesn't matter. You all have at it.
Oh,
hey, the NBA is a sitcom, Steve.
You got one smart person. You got Cole on there. You got one smart person, and you got 2 idiots. So you guys have at it.
Dude, How am I an idiot? I just led you straight to that question. You answered it the way I wanted. Unfortunately, Bobby didn't get it, but Cole did, so Cole is the smart one. So everybody's at a loss for words. So let's go for this. We got to talk
I'm
about.
watching Today's Show.
We got to. Will you be
I'm
quiet
watching
for
the
a
Today
second?
Show. So.
No, the number 8 seed right now is the LA Clippers at 34-29. So they would go play Golden State. The Los Angeles Lakers still 3 games out, 4-6 in their last 10. We've had this discussion before, and I know where Cole stands on it. I know where Bobby and Steve stand on it. Bobby, has your stance changed at all on the Lakers making the playoffs, or do you still think they get in?
I still think they get in. It's in the balance right now. Right now is the time. Everybody knows it, and they're 3 games back. There still is an opportunity. They got a big ball game tonight against the Bucks, and Giannis is supposed to play limited minutes. That's what he's done on this trip, and that's supposed to continue. Milwaukee can still beat them without him playing big minutes. But the Lakers, right now is their time. They're going to go to 31-31 tonight if they get the win, and they play the Clippers head-to-head a couple more times, including here coming up shortly, maybe the next game or 2. They play the Clippers. Sacramento's a young team who many expect to kind of slide here these last 20 games. So, yeah, the answer is yes, they can.
All right, Steve?
Bobby and I had this conversation. I watched the Lakers play Memphis the other night, and it just seems LeBron's just disengaged. He does not seem to give a damn about what's going on the court. Now, I don't know how to take that. I don't know if he's disenchanted with the team or what's going on there. And it's, again, just my observation. But he's not playing hard. He's not playing like the LeBron we saw last year play for Cleveland. He's out here. He's producing TV shows. He's going to star in Space Jam 2. He's got other interests out here in Los Angeles all of a sudden. And I don't know that basketball is that relevant to him anymore. But I firmly believe, like Bobby does, that the NBA wants LeBron James in the playoffs, and they want a head-to-head matchup at number 8 versus Golden State for an early round match. And I think that they will do everything they can to try and make that happen. Now, it's up to the Lakers to play well enough to be able to have the NBA help them, in my opinion. But I think they want that matchup. That's an early round matchup, big TV ratings. Curry against LeBron, Los Angeles versus Golden State, and I think Golden State runs a floor on them. I won't bet against you on that, Mike, ever again. But yeah, I think it's going to happen. I think they'll be in the playoffs, and they'll sacrifice the Clippers. They'll sacrifice the Clippers to do it.
Well, to be able to sacrifice the Clippers, the Lakers have to be good enough to win enough games, even with referees' help.
Right. No.
And
touche. That's what I said. Yeah.
They aren't. They just aren't. At least that's my opinion. Cole, do you still stand with me, or are you with the Stooges?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're never going to count out LeBron. As long as he's there, they have a chance. But, this is a team that's lost 4 of their last 6 games. They have a 5-game road trip coming up here in a couple weeks. They're running out of time. And like Steve said, you watch them after the All-Star break. This doesn't look like a team that's figured it out and is ready for the stretch run. They just don't look like that team right now. To me, I just think the Clippers are a better team than them. Even without Tobias Harris, I just think this team, for whatever reason, whether it be chemistry issues or whatever it is, they're just an underachieving team. And I think they're running out of time. They have LeBron, and that can even some things out. So never count them out. But I don't see them making playoffs.
And Mike, my question to you, my question to you is this: with the Lakers, and you and I had this conversation off air. I thought that the talent around LeBron in Los Angeles was better than the talent around him in Cleveland. I know they had Kevin Love, and Kevin Love's a great player in his own right. But I thought top to bottom, the Lakers had more talent around LeBron than the Clippers did top to bottom. Is that not a fair assessment?
How about this, though? If you'd have put the Cleveland Cavaliers in the West, they'd have been struggling to make the playoffs, I think, last year. Am I too far?
Agreed.
Am I way out of bounds here, Bobby or Cole? But I just the West
No.
is much tougher than the East.
No, you're not out of bounds. They would have been probably in the 5 or 4 spot, probably in the middle there.
At best, because I don't think they would have been better than Utah even.
No,
I don't
definitely
think so.
not.
Well, that's why I said I thought when he came to the Lakers, I thought Kuzma and the guys, Ball and the guys he had around him now were a little more talented in the total package. I mean, Kevin Love is a great player, but I thought top to bottom, I thought the Lakers had more overall depth, and he was the key that was going to come in. But I mean, is this a Magic Johnson issue here?
No.
Yes,
No?
it is. Magic doesn't know what
Okay.
he's doing. Bobby
Thank
won't
you.
listen to me.
I
but Magic don't know what
I
he's
tend to
doing.
agree with you, Mike. I tend to agree. It's a Magic Johnson issue. This
Mike,
is a thing where some great player comes in and thinks he can run a basketball team because he's a great player, and he's not necessarily going to happen.
Good, Bobby.
Mike, the Lakers had the talent they have, the young talent. I mean, the Ball, Ingram, and Kuzma, and Hart, and I think I'm missing another piece or so. But, they got that group. They went out and signed some veterans like Lance Stevenson and Rondo and those guys. This is a piecework deal. Okay, LeBron comes in as the main piece, and there's going to be 2 more main pieces.
Sure there is.
And whatever fits around those main pieces is what's going to put the title in L.A. again.
Well,
it's not going to be.
I think that
there's only one main piece.
I think you're really
So
assuming
that's the
that they're
first
going to be
thing.
able to get 2 huge pieces. I don't know who those 2
They will.
pieces are, but I don't think this is going to be as easy as you think it is.
Well,
Because
no, but
I think there's a lot of these big pieces that don't really want the headache of playing with LeBron.
maybe
I
not.
agree
I
with
don't
Mike
know.
on this one big time. Mike, I'm in your camp on this
Because
one
this
big
is the
time.
thing.
That's
They would have
right.
already, if they could have done it, they would have already added one of these pieces before the trade deadline and before the All-Star break. And they couldn't get anybody. I think this leaves, they might be able to get one other big piece, but the players you just talked about, the young nucleus, I don't think it's that great of a nucleus. Not when
I
you
agree with
compare
you,
it
and
to the
that's
young
right.
nucleus in Milwaukee or Indiana. And this is the thing. To be able
I
to
agree.
beat Golden State, you have to have you got to fit the pieces to the puzzle. You just can't run out LeBron, sign 1 or 2 other big free agents, and think you're going to beat Golden State. What the Rockets did is they got a big-time scorer in Harden. They've got a great point guard, though. They've got the pieces where they can give the Rockets trouble even in a best-of-7 series. I mean, if you threw, I don't know, who was the guy that they wanted that they didn't get? If you would throw Anthony Davis in L.A. right now.
The guy from New Orleans. Was he
Yeah,
New Orleans?
Anthony
Isn't he
Davis.
from New Orleans?
If you throw Anthony
Yeah.
Davis there, they're still going to struggle to make the playoffs because they don't have great coaching. They've got LeBron, but LeBron's getting old, and the fact is this, LeBron's missed, 18 games this year? And the one thing I do know is when a guy gets to be mid-30s, when he starts missing that many games, he usually doesn't come back the next year and play 75 or 80 games. Because once you start to break down, you start to break down. I think, as Steve has said repeatedly, and he said it last year, LeBron went to L.A. basically because he knew he was close to the end. And he can go out there, and he can make probably more money not playing basketball than he can playing it by the time he's done.
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a TMZ favorite right now. I mean, he's on TMZ every day, going to a restaurant somewhere and partying. He's at Nobu. He's at Craig's. He's at, Mateo's. Bobby, you know all these big restaurants. He's out there all the time. He's producing 2 or 3 TV shows. He just signed a star in Space Jam 2. He's out here to get into television or get into movies, get into Hollywood.
And when you watch him play,
yeah, I agree. I think so. Yeah,
when you watch him play,
and he snookered the Lakers. He snookered the Lakers big time.
And this is the thing: Magic Johnson was desperate to fix this quickly. The problem with this is this: in the history of the NBA, it's hard to fix a team quickly in 1 year. I mean, the Lakers got Shaq. But that wasn't a fix. Hell, they already had Kobe. There was nothing for him here to play with to make them a contender. And to think that they're going to sign 2 big-time players and then beat Golden State, Houston, and these teams that have been playing together for a while, I think is a little nuts because even if they sign those two players, I don't think LeBron is what he once was. And I also think this.
Nope.
I don't think LeBron has a killer instinct. I think that is what...
Not anymore.
No, I don't think he ever did. Not compared to a Magic, a Bird, a Jordan, an Elijah one. Those guys, the only thing they wanted to do was win. They weren't thinking about going to L.A. and making TV shows. You know, Jordan made it in the offseason,
Mike,
sure, but still.
Mike, here's a question for you. I'm loving your input right now. Would they have been better off trying to go get Paul George instead of LeBron James?
No, I think you'd have been better off keeping a young nucleus together and then going out and getting two young studs. You know, you could have probably gotten Anthony Davis then. You'd have had more money than God. You could have got Anthony Davis. You know, then maybe you go after Kawhi Leonard. You go after him. You know, you can probably give him more money than the Raptors can, and he's going to want to come to L.A. I don't know that Leonard. I don't know that he'd want to go to L.A. now. But I would have rather went the Anthony Davis this year route, Leonard next year. I think you would have had a better team because you would have had a young team that's going to be together if you can keep them together money-wise for another 6 or 7 years. You don't have that with LeBron.
Well, what's the process? I mean, is Luke Walton the right coach for this team, or do they need a more seasoned coach? You know, kind of an older kind of, you know, Phil Jackson type mentality. I'm just throwing that name out there as a metaphor for what the Lakers do. They do have a very young nucleus.
I don't think that LeBron can be coached. I think LeBron.
No, he definitely cannot be. No, he cannot be.
I mean, because does anybody here think that Tyronn Lue was a great coach or Mike Brown was a great coach? I mean, LeBron's going to do what LeBron wants to do, and that's why I would never want him on my team. I wouldn't.
Actually, Mike Brown is a good guy. I coached his
We're
kid
not
too,
talking
Elijah.
about whether he's a good guy. We're talking about how good of an NBA coach he is.
But Mike Brown's is Mike Brown at Golden State, and he is assistant coach at Golden State or Sacramento? Where's he at?
I don't know.
Golden State.
The thing is,
he's assistant coach at Golden State. Yeah,
he could turn out to be a good coach at some point, but he could never be a great coach because we know he let LeBron run stuff. You watched their huddles, you could see who coached the team, especially with Tyronn Lue. So it's the NBA. Coaching doesn't matter. That's called
keeping your paycheck. I mean, you know, if you don't let LeBron run the show, then you're going to lose the paycheck.
I think this. I think Bird ran the Celtics. I think we know Magic ran the Lakers, and Jordan ran the Bulls. Those guys were the coaches of those teams.
Right.
Because if you remove those guys, you're not winning NBA championships.
Yeah.
And you can change the coach and still win a championship with those teams. Because, I mean, let's face it, I watched K.C. Jones. I don't know that he did a whole lot coaching that team. You know? I mean, the Lakers were Showtime, not like they were running a bunch of offensive sets. So I don't think coaching's that important. But what I do think is important is this. You don't hit your future to a 34-year-old that's been in the league for, 15 or 16 years, and then hope you can fix it immediately, because that's hard to do, especially when you got the Golden State Warriors sitting there with 5 NBA All-Stars, and you got the Rockets sitting there with a few NBA All-Stars. I just think that Magic Johnson, most people we've seen that have been highly successful as players, have failed as GMs and coaches.
Was Magic actually the coach of the Lakers at one point in time? Did he actually try and coach the Lakers at some point?
For a short period of time.
Failed miserably.
Yes.
Failed miserably, didn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike Bird, who Larry coached, he coached the Pacers into the NBA Finals.
Well, I don't think Larry was necessarily a great coach either, but
he had respect. He had respect. Yeah, he stayed out of people's way. Yeah.
But all right, let's go to the East. Because the East, I think the big question is this. Me and Steve have been waiting for the Celtics all year long to do something, and they're 37-25, which isn't bad, but it's well below expectations. They're 10.5 games behind the Milwaukee Bucks in 5th place. They're 3 games behind the Sixers, 3.5 behind the Pacers just to get home field advantage. 4-6 in their last 10. Cole, what's the problem in Boston?
Well, there seems to be a lot of noise coming out of that locker room, especially relating to Kyrie Irving. So you have to wonder about the team chemistry there. But, they just have a lot of young guys that just people thought, all right, this team's going to take the next step because they have these young pieces, but they just haven't really done that. People talked about Jaylen Brown as being a possible all-star level player, and he's not even close to that. Jason Tatum kind of stepped up for them in the playoffs last year, and people were expecting him to be an all-star caliber player. He hasn't really stepped into that role. Terry Rozier has regressed significantly for them, to the point there's been some talk in Boston about possibly, taking him out of the rotation with how he's played. So there's just a lot of issues with that team. I think their young talent got a little bit, overrated after their run without Kyrie Irving last year. And, people thought, with all that young talent, Kyrie coming back, they're going to dominate because, those young pieces are going to take the next step. And, a lot of those young pieces, for the most part, have not taken that next step. They're, comparable players to what they were last year, if not regressing a little bit in certain cases. So, Brad Stevens is a great coach. I don't think they have a coaching issue. But,
that's my question, Cole. Cole, that's my question. Is Brad Stevens' reputation being tarnished a little bit now because the Celtics are underperforming? I mean, is his reputation being tarnished a little bit right now, or you still think he's good?
I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask. To me, I think he's proven he's a great coach. There's no doubt they're underachieving as a team, but you got to wonder about those factors. To me,
well, he went to two NCAA championship games and lost them both.
Yeah,
he hasn't won anything really.
That was it, Butler.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just throwing it out there, Mike. It's up for debate.
Butler losing a national championship game is more impressive to me than Duke beating them.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, fair. Very fair. All right. But now the Celtics, who everybody thought was going to run away with the East, and they're not going to have home court advantage if things stay status quo as they are right now.
Yeah, they're not.
They're going to be playing on the road.
They're going to have to play probably at Philadelphia or at Indiana. And my question here, Bobby, I know that you made fun of my Pacers incessantly when they lost, Victor Oladipo. And you said
don't make fun of our Pacers, chance. Bobby, idiot.
You said they had no chance. And when I asked you what teams had a chance, you gave me the Bucks, the Raptors, the Sixers, and the Celtics. Are the Pacers in this conversation yet? Or are you still going to disregard the fact that they're still beating these teams without Oladipo?
I love them as a regular season team. I love them as an organization. I love them covering point spreads.
There's coming a butt. I can feel a butt coming. See,
they have no chance to come out of the East. They're not. That was the question you posed, and it's not going to happen. Now the fact that they hold on to the 3 or 4 spot is just shows how what a great group of guys they are. How they play defense every night. The organization. But they are not beating.
Isn't that a reason to think that they had a chance?
Yeah, exactly, Bobby. What the hell? Is this kind of like a Golden State where they're a great team? They don't rely on any one player, and they lost the next man up. They lost their top player. They lost one of the best players in the NBA, and they haven't fallen off at all.
Yeah, and I guarantee you if Giannis gets hurt with the Bucks or Leonard goes down with the Raptors, those teams are rapidly falling down the standings.
Right. Pacers are 7-3 in their last 10 games. I mean, really, seriously, Bobby?
Let's see what happens.
Jesus, crime and Italy. I didn't use the Lord's name in vain, Mike.
Very good.
See, I've gotten away from that.
All right.
Listen, guys. Bottom line is this on Indiana: if you were not able to take Milwaukee or Toronto, let's just say, and for your life was on it, and you had to take a team coming out of the East to go to the finals, but you couldn't take Milwaukee or Toronto, who are you taking? I'm not taking Indiana over Philly or Boston.
I would.
No,
you wouldn't take Indiana over Boston?
Yeah.
Or Philly.
Okay.
If Indiana has a home court advantage, I'll take Indiana.
And right now they would.
Yeah.
Well, now they would. Right.
Cole, in that scenario, who would you take? I want to hear what Cole.
I would take Philly over Indiana.
Nobody cares what Cole thinks. He's like 12 years old. Go ahead, Bobby.
Cole's a stud. I first time I heard him, I said, that guy's a keeper.
Yeah, it's just because he agreed with you.
No.
Well, I thought Cole was great when he was agreeing with me with the Lakers, but now I think he's a flaming idiot. But
welcome to the world of podcasting, Cole. There you go.
Oh, I
Go
think
take
that's the
this to
first
Galen
time. Is
Calvillo.
that the first time I've ever attacked Cole on air?
No, not at all. No.
Oh, I thought it was. All right. Yeah, I would take the Pacers over the Sixers or the Celtics. But I think the Pacers and Sixers would be close. And I'll tell you this. With Toronto, we know the history of great regular seasons unfolding in the playoffs.
This is a brand new animal, though, Mike. They got a new coach and a new star player.
You know what? The Boston Red Sox were cursed, and the Chicago Cubs were cursed for like 100 years each with different players, and then things would still fall apart. Because as an organization, and I can tell you this as a Bengals fan, when you have a history of failing, no matter how good you do in the regular season, the problem is not the players. The problem is this. Game one, if the Raptors are playing the Bucks in the conference finals or the Raptors are playing the Pacers and they lose game one, then that pressure is going to multiply because the fans are all going to lose their crap almost immediately because they're going to think of the 4-game sweeps in the conference finals the last few years.
Okay, no, that's
right.
a fair statement.
Yeah, Cole, let me ask you a question. Cole. And I know, and you're the NBA beat writer, so you know more than me, and I'm not going to profess to, Bobby and Mike's egos are overinflated, so I'm not going to deal with them. But which teams in the NBA right now have, because when we won a championship in 81, we won because we had great chemistry. We got along as a team.
All right, Bobby.
Which teams in
the
NBA?
This was a record
Hang on,
because it was
I'm
32 minutes until he brought up IU in 1981. Go ahead, Steve.
All right, I'm asking a question. Cole, which teams in the NBA right now have great chemistry? Because that's the teams that are going to advance. And that's how Golden State wins. They have talent. They have an all-star team, but they have great chemistry. Which teams in the East have great chemistry?
Well, if you want to go with the team in the East with the best chemistry, it's Indiana. I don't think it's even close.
There you go.
That's a team that, by all accounts, without Victor Oladipo, should have fallen off, and they have not. That's a credit to guys like Bogdanovich who have stepped up big for him. To me, Miles Turner's the defensive player of the year. How he's played protecting the rim, it's been outstanding. Wesley Matthews, we didn't talk about him. He was a late addition to the Pacers. They got him from the buyout market, and he's been great for them, averaging about over 14 points per game since he's joined them. He's been a really, really solid addition to that team in place of Oladipo. But, yeah, I mean, the Pacers are the best team in the East, I think, from a chemistry perspective, and I don't even think it's close.
All right.
Mike, does chemistry count? You're a coach. Mike, you're a coach. Does chemistry count?
Steve, it counts, but not as much as it would if this was college. I think this. I don't think the Pacers are going to the finals, but it wouldn't surprise me if they made it because of that chemistry. But I also know this. When the other team just has better players. I mean, I think the Milwaukee Bucks and Toronto both have really good chemistry. I don't think that it may be as great a chemistry as the Pacers, but their talent will probably overcome it. But what I get tired of is not just Bobby, but it's what you see all around. The Pacers are 41-22. They're 3 games above 500 and they have a better road record in Philadelphia, a better road record than Boston. The road record is about the same as the Raptors. So what I'm tired of is when people talk about who could come out of the East, they talk about the Bucks, the Raptors, the Sixers, the Celtics. Right. Everybody just blows off the Pacers, and the Pacers are, I think, clearly better than the Celtics. I think they're probably about equal with the Sixers and a little bit below the Raptors and Bucks. I think the chemistry is underrated by people, and I think it's really underrated the fact that they're doing this without Victor Oladipo. My next question is for Bobby, and that's when you get past that 5 with the Nets, Pistons, Magic, Hornets, maybe even the Heat. Is there any team in that bottom half of the top 10 in the East that you think could pull a big upset come playoff time?
That's a great question, Mike. And, the
That's
bottom
what
part
I'm
of the
here
East
for, Bobby. Go ahead.
The bottom part of the East has been really fascinating for me from a betting perspective, and I've been on a lot of these matchups, and I'm on one today. My top play is in the Charlotte game tonight with Brooklyn, and and I've been on Miami, and I had a run where I was on Washington, and I've been on Orlando. I mean, all these teams I've had my radar on at one point or another, and whether they can pull the upset, that's very doubtful, because you got.
How about this, Bobby? I think what you just said.
What that means is this point.
Yeah,
what that means, Milwaukee or Toronto, who we just talked about, or Indy, who in the 3 spot, right, would have to get, or even Philly would have to get upset with the home court advantage. And we like these teams. We like Milwaukee, Toronto, Indiana. We think Philadelphia is really talented, and so no, I don't think the upset's coming.
I would say this with these teams, especially like Brooklyn. I think if it was a best of 5, they would have a chance. But I think the problem you have 6 through 9, and if you think about it, since the first round has went to the best of 7, we haven't seen that many upsets. When it was best of 5, you would get upsets. 1983, New Jersey beats Philadelphia. You had the Nuggets in 94, 95 pulled a big upset.
Seattle
Supersonics in 87. You had upsets best of 5, but best of 7, I think what you're doing is you're giving the team that is the most consistent team the best chance, and I think the reason why you've been on all of these teams, but only for short periods of time, is because you're trying to hit them when they're getting their good streak, because a bad streak's coming, and I would think betting them, the key is knowing when to jump off of that train.
Absolutely, Mike. That's a $1 million.
Hey, once
analysis.
Again, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jesus.
And as a handicapper, that's
I love Mike Goodpaster today. Mike, I got a question for you as a coach. Why does home court advantage play such a pivotal role? Or Cole,
I got this.
Why does home court advantage?
I can tell you this.
Why does home court advantage play such a? Because really, it's the same damn basketball court.
You know why?
Same 10-foot goal.
You know why?
Why does it?
I can tell you why. Because the best team usually
Okay.
has home court advantage. That's the only reason it makes a difference.
Okay, but you should be able to go and on somebody else's court when it's the same measurement and the same height of the goal, and your fans are going to cheer and boo and everything like that. I get that, but why does it always favor the home court advantage?
Okay, once again,
Cole,
the best team has home court advantage usually.
Okay,
ahead, Cole.
So all right, so it's the best team. All right,
I
go
think
ahead,
it's
Cole.
pretty simple. Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a factor in it. I do think there's an aspect that, when you get your home crowd behind you, it's, being loud, you can feed off that energy a little bit. I think there's a little bit more to it than just it's the better team, because that's why these teams, for the most part, have significantly better home records and away records, even in the regular season. There is an aspect of feeding off your home crowd's energy.
Yeah, but you know what, Cole?
think,
after you get past the top 5, the home records outside of Charlotte are not that great. I mean, they're all 500 at best. And I think what you see, and I think what Steve's asking is this. I don't know if this is what he's asking, but this is the way I look at it. Say the Orlando Magic are playing the Milwaukee Bucks. That's your 8 and your 1. The Bucks will beat them by 30 the first 2 games. And then Milwaukee will come back and win a game 3. Or Orlando comes back and maybe plays game 3 close, wins game 4 in a close game. Then they go to game 5 and they get blown out by Milwaukee and the series is over.
Yeah.
I think what that is this. Yeah. Most of these teams that are, 6 through 8, and this is most years, I think, are teams that are on the rise. They're younger teams. So when you put them at home, they're comfortable. When you put them on the road in Milwaukee or Toronto, they're not comfortable. I think that is the biggest difference in the home field advantage, because usually, especially in the first round, the younger team is the lower seed, and they're comfortable at home. They play with a lot of energy. Then they go on the road, and that energy's thrown back at them, and they don't have enough experience to know how to combat that.
It's a great point, Mike.
Actually a fair point.
It's a great point. But my question is, is it like you're sleeping in your own bed? I mean,
yeah, it helps.
I know when I played it,
it helps.
It helps. Yeah, you're in your normal routine. You're not staying in a hotel, but these guys stay in a hotel half their lives, so they should be accustomed to that.
The confidence level.
And I know, as a player at IU I don't know that I can ever recall the crowd affecting what I was doing on the court. I was breathing hard. I was sweating.
Yeah, but
I
the
was,
thing is this, Steve.
trying to guard somebody, and I'm like, I'm not focused on the crowd. I'm focused on what I've got to do on the floor.
Yeah, but how about this, Steve? If this is what we were talking about. If you played Wisconsin at Wisconsin, you knew it was going to be a tough game. If you played them at home, it wasn't. It's not about the way you feel playing on the road. It's about the confidence the other team who is intimidated to go to Assembly Hall. They're not intimidated to play at home at Madison with everybody screaming for them. There's, they've got something behind them pushing them. You played at IU, which meant that pressure was pretty much on you all the time. But also, you can't tell me it wasn't easier to play at home, because if it wasn't and everything was the same, you'd have blown Wisconsin out at Wisconsin.
Well, what was easier was I got in my car from my apartment and drove to Assembly Hall, parked my car. I knew my girlfriend was there. My parents were there. I knew we were going to do something after the game. But I don't ever remember the crowd motivating me anymore to do any better than what I was already trying to give to the team. And, it wasn't much for me, obviously. But it's like I don't remember the crowd being that much of a factor.
When I played, I didn't either. But when I coach it, all right, and you've got a huge crowd behind you. No, I'm just telling you this. Mm-hmm. I think you do get more energy when you're at home. I don't think that necessarily you realize it, but I think you do because, I've coached home games, away games, and it does seem like your team has more energy at home. And I also know this. At a place like IU, or if your team is really good, a lot of times a better team may play just as well on the road because that energizes them to know that those people are against them.
Right.
I think this. You look at the New England Patriots, they haven't played a lot of road playoff games, but they're still above 500 in those games. And a lot of times they've played better. I think if they would have played Kansas City and New England, I think they might have lost the game. But I think going to New England motivated them more because they didn't do it that often. Everybody's against you, and you go out and you fight your ass off. But I think that the home crowd advantage is basically more about confidence and energy. And I think it's something as a player you may not feel, but it is there. I guarantee you this. If you go back and watch an IU game on the road and watch how you played, and then you come back and you watch an IU game at home, you're going to say, I did run a little bit faster when I was at home. Because even subconsciously, you're more comfortable, which is going to make you more dangerous.
Well said. That's the answer I expected from you, and I get that. I just didn't feel it when you're playing. To me, it just was a game.
Yeah, it's subconscious because when you're in the game, you might notice the crowd until the ball is tipped. Then you don't notice anything else. As a coach, I never noticed the crowd once the game started. Unless, we're winning big and I want to talk a bunch of shit to the other team and the other crowd. Then I'll notice it. But not that I would ever do that. But if I'd have wanted to, that's when I would have done it. But all right. Anybody else got any other questions or comments?
Cole, the Hornets are actually 19 games out with Orlando. Who's going to get that last spot? Is it going to be Charlotte or Orlando?
That's a tough one.
And the Heat are only a game out, and the Heat's not a bad team.
The Heat. There's a dogfight there. You got the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th teams all within 3 games of each other right now in the East.
If you go 6 down to 11, it's within 6 games, so they're all still kind of in the conversation.
So what's the more competitive conference, Cole? Is it the East or the West? The West, we think Golden State's going to run away with it, right? We don't think anybody's going to beat Golden State, although Bobby thinks Houston's going to beat him, but Bobby's an idiot, so we'll just deal with that.
Well, put it like this, Steve. The 9th place team is above 500 in the East right now, and the 8th place team is 5 games above. And I think the West is definitely better. I think the East is much more competitive to what it's been in years, though, because I really think if the Celtics were to get it together, I think you've got 5 teams that could get hot and make it to the finals. When I look at the West, I think there are – I'm not as sold on Golden State this year. I think there's actually 3 or 4 teams that could give them a run. But I also think this. I think you could, if you take the 6th place team, the Utah Jazz, and you put them in the East, they'd be in the top 3 or 4 at worst.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So the most competitive would probably be the East, but the best is the West.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. So, again, Cole, Hornets or Magic or Heat, which of those teams get the 8th spot?
I got to go with the Magic, Steve, just because they're playing much better basketball recently. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. You look at Charlotte, who's just 3-7 over that same stretch. Orlando's playing better right now. They're just playing better basketball.
Okay, so Charlotte's 3-7. I see here Charlotte's 3-7, and they're tied with the Magic. Basically, they're both 19 games out. I mean, they've got a 1-game. Orlando's got a 1-game win over Charlotte. They don't go 3-7 again. You don't think they pass the Magic? It's a bad run for the Hornets right now.
No, exactly. It's a bad run for the Hornets, but I think the bigger story is Orlando going 7-3 more so than Charlotte going 3-7. Right? I think Orlando's a team that's starting to figure it out and put it together. I can see either. I mean, to me, it's a crapshoot. I mean, it's tough to figure out who's gonna.
You know how I look at this, Cole?
Cole,
the way I look at this is this. To me, the NBA really kicks it into gear about this time, and the fact that they're 7-3 right now.
What, did I not say that at the beginning of the show? Did I not say that at the beginning? Come on, Mike, give me some play here.
I am. That's how I gave you play, you dipshit.
Okay. All right, I'll shut up now. Just say Steve was right. Just say Steve was right, and I'll shut up for the rest of the show.
No, you won't. You won't ever shut up, no matter what I say. If I told you, Steve, I could FedEx you $25 million if you didn't say another word in the next 20 minutes, you couldn't do it. Correct?
I love that.
Oh, Steve's going to be quiet for the next 25 minutes. I don't have.
I'm waiting. I'm going to text you right now and say I'm waiting for $25 million.
I didn't say that.
Text you right now.
I said that. All right, you just
Here,
talked.
I'm texting you right now.
Just talked. You're talking right now, Steve. You could have just texted me without saying anything. You lost. It took 8 seconds, and you lost. All right.
It's like a water fountain.
Does anybody have anything else NBA-wise? Come on, Cole. You're supposed to be our NBA beat writer who hadn't wrote an NBA article yet.
Well, been busy. School's tough, man.
Yeah. Okay. You ought to try living. All right. You ought to try having some wives and kids. Steve's got wives, girlfriends. We found out that one show.
Hey, Mike. Mike.
What?
There's a couple of good ball games on tonight in the NBA. We can all look forward.
Bobby, we haven't gotten to that part of the show yet. We'll get to that in a minute. Just hang on, Bobby. We're still talking NBA.
Well, do you have anything else you want to stay? Cole.
Yeah. Steve.
Cole.
Steve.
Who comes
Mike, the
out?
water faucet's on. Mike, the water faucet's on.
Is it?
Cole. Who comes out of the East?
To me, I'd go Milwaukee right now. I think the addition of Nikola Mirotic for them is really going to help them out. I think Giannis is an absolute monster right now with how he's playing, and I think they're a very well-coached team. So I'd go Milwaukee right now, especially if they get home court advantage.
Bobby, who comes out of the East?
Milwaukee or Toronto?
Oh, you can only pick one team, Bobby. Jesus Christ.
Okay. I'll take
Sorry,
Toronto.
Mike. I apologize.
You need to.
I'll take Toronto.
You're going to go Toronto.
That's fine. Yeah. And that's
I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the Sixers. I'm going to go with the Sixers coming out of the East. Mike?
Pacers. Screw you all.
No, I want the Pacers.
Pacers are going to win it all this year. They're going to beat the Rockets in 9 games.
All right, let's go to the West. I like that.
Go to the West.
I like.
Mike, who comes out of the West?
Rockets.
Let's start the
I think
reverse
the Rockets,
order. Mike, who comes out of the West?
If the Rockets stay healthy, the Rockets.
I'm going to go with Warriors.
I can't bet against Golden State.
I'm not betting against Golden State. Yeah,
Because you're
I'm
all
not betting
sissies.
against them.
Yeah, I'm
gonna
right
go
there
with
with you, Steve.
I'm going to go with Mike.
So we got 3 Golden States and 1 Rockets.
No,
right?
we don't,
No,
because
I'm going
Bobby
with
is sitting there saying he's going with Mike, and you're ignoring him.
Bobby, who are you picking out of the West?
I'll go with Mike. I think Houston's got a great, huge shot.
You're a very intelligent
Like I
man,
said.
Bobby.
2 idiots. There you go. Okay. Here we go. Let's ask this question. Let's just go do a poll. You know, Mike, can we get paid for this poll? You got some kind of poll thing set up on our website now. Can we do a poll, Mike, on this?
We would have to
do
put
the
poll
Lakers
up.
make the playoffs or not? You do a
No.
poll.
Only the smart kids will say no, but no.
Okay, so, Bobby, do the Lakers make the playoffs?
No.
Yes.
No, they don't.
I say yes. Cole?
No.
Thank you, Cole.
No. It's 50-50. There you go. All right. And who's the MVP in the league this year?
Harden.
Yeah, I got to go Harden with what he's doing right now.
I got to go Harden. Mike?
It's always good to go Harden. If you're going to go, you go Harden. Harden.
So we're all unanimous over that one.
Number
Yes.
2 is probably Giannis, right? Right, Cole?
Yeah, I go Giannis at 2 right now.
Steve Risley at number
Yeah.
3. Nah, Kyle Guy'd be number 3. But
Kyle Guy. I don't dislike Kyle Guy.
sure you don't.
Get off. I know. It's. So who's the coach of the year in the NBA right now?
You know, to me, I got to go Nate McMillan.
me too.
That's my coach of the year. I don't know if he'll win it, but that's who I got to go with what the Patriots
I'm going
have done.
Nate
even
McMillan.
minus Oladipo.
Yeah.
Bobby.
Bobby?
Milwaukee's coach.
You knew that no matter what, Bobby would give no love to the Indiana team.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's
I know.
coach has just got the best roster in the East, and I think a lot of people expected them to win it. So
Well, we'll see who's right.
it doesn't matter who's right. This is an opinion of who you think should be. You didn't. I don't think Steve asked us who we thought should. I think Ken Atkinson with Brooklyn should get some play too.
Yeah, they've made a big turnaround. They really have for a team that's been so downtrodden for so many years.
And don't be surprised if they're
you know.
making a run at one of those big players that Magic Johnson wants too.
Cole, who's got salary
Yeah,
cap
that
money?
could happen.
Who's got money to spend? Who's got money to spend at the end of the year?
You know, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head about all the teams. I know there's going to be a jump this year. So there's going to be a lot of teams that have a decent amount of money from a salary cap perspective. I know Indiana's going to have a lot of money to pay with. You know, so I'd have to research that more, but I don't know the top
Okay.
5
Next
or 6
week.
teams off the top of my head. But yeah.
Yeah.
But there's-
Mike? Who's in play? Who's in play for jumping teams? Or Cole or Mike or anybody? I mean, who's in play?
Anybody? that's-
Kyrie Irving, Durant,
Kyrie
Kyrie
Durant,
Irving's in
yeah.
play.
Anthony Davis,
Durant's in play. Davis.
Anthony Davis, yeah.
all the names, Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard's going to be a free
There's
agent. That's
plenty
going to
of
be one of the
guys
big
that
ones.
can turn a team around.
Klay Thompson, too, is another big one.
Who's
Yeah,
the
Klay
guard Who's the guard from Lawrence North? It's at Memphis. Well, I can't think of his name right now. He played with Odin.
Conley?
Mike Conley.
There's a guy. He's had a good NBA career, right? I mean, he's done well. Is he ready to go find somewhere to play to win a championship? I mean, is he ready? He's made enough money. He wants to win a ring.
He makes too much money to move him.
Makes too much money to move him. So, okay.
He makes.
He's not worth the money that he's been paid.
Well, he's a very, very good player, but no. I mean, he'll probably retire with Grizzly.
Yeah, I don't. From listen to his interviews, I don't think he has any intention of leaving unless he absolutely has to.
Right.
Okay. I just thought that was a kid, based on the personal success he's had as a player and the money he's accrued, which has got to be a lot. That he would say, now it's time to go get myself a ring and go play somewhere where I can get a ring. So.
Well, he got a wife and kids too. They've lived in the same place forever. Maybe he just didn't want to do it anymore.
Fair play.
Well, Marc Gasol, got out of there. And he got moved with Toronto. And he's going to be a huge piece for them in the playoffs. Gasol is. Wow.
I know.
To me, that was the number one move of the whole thing.
Until the Pacers.
So let's jump back. Let's jump back one last time. Cole, what do the Lakers do to fix their mess? Because they've got an expensive mess right now.
As far as this season, or are you talking like down the line?
Well, next year. No, off season. They're done this year. I mean, if they eke into the playoffs, so you're going to get at number 8. They're not going to get above that, and they're going to get beat by Golden State in the first round. What do the Lakers do to fix this mess? It's a mess.
Steve,
I'm out here in LA.
It's going to be tough. I think they need to add some more shooting. They're obviously going to chase big names. That's going to be a tough sell, I think, just with playing with LeBron has a little bit of a, reputation around it that maybe guys don't find attractive. And B, he's going to be 35 next year. So getting guys to sign long-term contracts in LA when LeBron's 35, he's already missed a significant amount of games this season. That's going to be a tough sell. So, they're going to chase big names like Anthony Davis and guys, Kawhi Leonard, guys like that, to pair with LeBron. And, obviously, if they can get a guy like that, that's going to help out a lot. Probably if the Lakers want to fix this mess, they're probably hoping Golden State breaks up a little bit. Maybe Durant leaves, maybe Klay Thompson leaves, to give them a little bit of a window there to compete. But, I think they need to add some shooting and probably another big star piece or two.
So they really don't control their own destiny. They're relying on other things to happen for them to elevate their stature in the West.
Just remember, it was never about year one in this process. It was never about this year.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. I thought.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. I agree.
They thought they were getting Anthony Davis.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with Mike entirely here, Bobby. I'm sorry. I don't like to agree with Mike.
It's not about.
I don't like to because it's no fun for the show.
This was a 3-year deal.
I agree with Mike here big time.
We're going to win the championship in year 3 of this deal.
Yeah, I don't think they were trying to win a championship this year, but I think that they thought that they would have Anthony Davis by mid-season and be able to comfortably be in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, New Orleans are idiots, what they turned down. They're not going to get anything close to that. I mean, New Orleans is going to get nothing.
Yeah, so that is kind of the point, though. My point is this. For them to turn this around, it's not just up to what they do. It's what other people want to do or not want to do with them also, whether it be players as free agents or teams in trades. And I think this, Magic Johnson is nowhere near Jerry West. Jerry West, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if 2 or 3 years from now the Clippers are a bigger player than the Lakers because I think LeBron's on his last leg.
Well, Mike, that's a great question. Cole, jump in here. The Clippers are an enigma because Ballmer's got more money than God. They've got a good coach, a well-respected coach. They've got a great general manager. Why are the Clippers not better than they are? Mike or Cole, or Bobby, anyone. Does anybody have an answer to that question?
Well,
I believe they fired Mike Woodson last year. They got rid of Mike Woodson. That's why I think they failed. So, but that's personal.
Well, they don't have an uber-talented roster, really, is part of the issue, especially, Tobias Harris was their best player, and they traded him away. I mean, I think their roster, but when you look at where they are from a talent point of view, probably accurately reflects their record at about, 5 games over 500. But and I'll say this too, and this is on the Lakers-Clippers deal. There was a report, that came out this offseason about Kawhi Leonard and that he wanted to play in L.A. And just keep in mind, that said he wanted to play for the Clippers, not the Lakers, because he didn't want to play with LeBron. So that's something to keep in mind too. The Clippers, they are going to have money to make a move. That's a team that's going to have cap space to make a move.
Yeah, with Jerry West, remember this, Steve. They had a 6-year playoff run with a big three of Griffith, Paul, DeAndre Johnson. They turned all those players into valuable first-round picks and created significant cap flexibility, which will come into effect this year. So I think what Jerry West did was he couldn't sign all three of those guys. Even signing all three wouldn't have made them contenders or to win it all. So what he did is he reloaded this roster, and he did it where 2 or 3 years down the line they're set up. But the way the younger players are coming on, I think if you could sign 1 or 2 big guys, I think the Lakers have an issue across town with the Clippers.
Okay, so I have 2 questions here. I'm Cole. I'm going to ask Cole and Mike. I'm going to ask you. Bobby, just hang on. Get ready for your pick of the top play of the day thing. Cole, is Rivers the best coach for the Clippers right now? Is he the best coach for the Clippers? Mike, my question to you is going to be, should the Clippers get out of L.A. and go be a better team somewhere in their own environment? Because I believe what you're saying, that they're overshadowed by the Lakers. So, Cole, first, is Doc Rivers the best coach for the Clippers with the young talent that Mike says they have, which I agree with?
He's not a bad coach to have. Obviously, he's proven he can win.
I don't want to hear bad. Is he the best coach? A Ballmer, I got more money than God.
Is he the best coach they can possibly get? No, probably not. I don't think Doc Rivers is,
I think they should go out and get Archie Miller.
Sean Miller. Sean Miller is going to be available in about a month.
They need to go offer Archie Miller a lot of money. But go ahead.
I think there are better coaches than Doc Rivers. I don't think Doc Rivers is a problem for them. It's
okay,
just
so he's not a problem. All right.
No, he's not a problem. But I don't think he's the best available coach or whatever. But I don't think he's a problem there.
No, as far as NBA coaches go, he's good enough.
Yeah, you can do much worse than Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
And so, Mike, then the question follow-up to you is, should the Clippers get the hell out of Los Angeles and let the Lakers own Los Angeles and go to San Diego or go somewhere else, create their own identity?
The Clippers,
they're living under the shadow of the Lakers.
Yeah, but the Clippers were in San Diego, and it didn't work. I mean,
okay. Well, take San Diego out of the mix.
Where are you going to move them to?
Cabo San Lucas.
They're still in L.A. They're still viable. It's not like they're drawing 6,000 a game, Steve. And when they're good, I mean, there was a few years during those 6 straight playoff years or whatever where they outdrew the Lakers, wasn't there?
I don't know that for a fact. All I know is
I'm pretty sure
LA,
that we all of a sudden. I remember Jack Nicholson being at a Clippers game a few years back. Even I just don't think it matters. I think if they win and they're one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NBA, they're going to have a crowd like everybody else does. If they suck, they're not like everybody else does. If the Lakers didn't have LeBron this year and they had the team they had, when you show up at the Forum, the upper deck ain't going to be full.
Well, for the Lakers, the Forum is always sold out.
No, I don't.
Or Staples Center. Staples Center,
It's not. It's just like Cleveland. They had a bunch of years was sold out. I went to some of them games where they played the Bengals, and there was 20,000 empty seats. They had season tickets sold, but there ain't butts in the seats.
Okay, touche. But I know that the ticket I buy for a Clippers game is $500. If I tried to buy that same seat for a Lakers game, it's $5,000. So I think that says a lot right there. If you go to
all right, wait a second.
Geek, if you go to our new sponsor,
it's not yet. Hey, listen, they are, but the deal's not done, so you don't have to plug it yet. But if the Clippers played in San Diego, they may not even get $500 for the ticket.
Right. No, they wouldn't. But
Okay.
like I said, Ballmer's got more money than
what's your
God.
point?
I would hope Ballmer just wants to win.
Yeah, and if he wants to win, there's no reason he can't win there. Hell, they made the playoffs 6
Okay,
years.
all right.
But,
all right. But he's dumped off a lot of great players, too. So.
Yeah, he didn't dump off a lot of great players that were about to win him a world championship. So it would tell me maybe he wants to win. He got rid of 3 guys that couldn't get him over the hump. And if he's going to try to rebuild this with draft picks and then sign in a couple big players, then he is trying to win. If he doesn't make a big play in free agency, then you're right. But we won't know that until the offseason.
So,
Bobby,
right.
What's your top play tonight?
Yeah. Well,
hey, wait,
play.
Cole, you got to go. I know Cole's mom.
Cole,
Cole's
you got to go.
He sent him to Chicago.
No, I'm good. We're good for now.
All right. Good.
Oh, so your mom is like taking her time like usual. Like Beth is just like, once again, 3 hours behind.
All right. I think
Hanna
it's
time.
really, really low to talk crap about somebody's mom. Bobby, go ahead.
Oh, God, I grew up with Beth's mom. Hell.
So it doesn't mean you should disrespect her live on air. Go ahead. I apologize, Bobby.
She's listening. She's listening.
Bobby, I apologize for this rude interruption. Go ahead.
That's all right, Mike. Things are going pretty well right now in the NBA. I think we've hit 7 in a row. We're going for 8, and we have only the NBA tonight. There's nothing going on in college, and we do have a little bit of early risers going. We already hit to 50 plus this morning at plus 110 over Monfield. It was a great match, and I actually got up and watched that match. It was a very good match, and we've got a PGA matchup that was going well when I got on air. I haven't checked it, but I'll go back and see if Fowler can beat Justin Thomas. He had a 1-stroke lead at one point. And we got a late ad tonight. We added Isner. We put that on Twitter already. A late start, 8 o'clock Pacific time down there in Mexico in the semifinals. So early risers have won 3 out of 4 days. Today looks like it's going to be 4 out of 5. So things are going very well with TSR. And tonight there's 2 NBA plays, and one of them is at Staples Center. We've got the Lakers at plus 4.5 over the Bucks tonight, and that's a free play, and that's on the site and on Twitter. And then there's only really one play, and I'm going to give it to your listeners. I mean, why not? We're going to go to the Eastern Conference, and we already alluded to this. It's going to be towards that bottom of the standings that we talked about, and Charlotte's going to play Brooklyn. And, somebody like me who looks at the lines every single day and looks at stats and numbers and is digging deep into these teams all the time, that's what you have to do to stay, and be able to anticipate things. And there could be no 2 teams matched up that are so perfectly matched in terms of stats. I mean, these teams have played 3 times this year, all 2-point games, and all dramatic finishes at the end, and all some finishes that have caused some strife and some problems with the players, officials calls or things like that. So this is game 4 of the installment. Charlotte goes to Brooklyn, and we already talked about Charlotte is tied in that 8th spot with Orlando, and Brooklyn's kind of in that 6th spot, and anything can happen, like Mike said, between 6 and 12. So it's a huge game, and Brooklyn has won 2 of these 3 matchups already this year. So this is big for Charlotte for tiebreaker purposes, to not only get ahead in the 8th spot, but to tie Brooklyn in case that's a factor. So can they do it? Well, yes, they can. They just played a week ago. Charlotte lost at home. Brooklyn won by 2 points at home, and it was a very big win for them on the road. And they got it at the end of the game. Kemba Walker was fouled, and there was no call made. And the NBA came out and said they agreed with the no call made, but players didn't agree and coaches didn't agree. And this is a rematch. And Brooklyn's going down there to Charlotte tonight. Charlotte's going down there to Brooklyn tonight. And they're in really good position. We talked about them coming off the 3-7, but they just got through playing 2 terrific ball games. They lost to Houston, in a game that we had Houston, and they lost to Golden State. And those were both single-digit losses. And now they're coming back to the Eastern Conference, and their guard play is outstanding. Charlotte is just going to be in a really good. Just taking points in this game tonight is going to be big, and I think they're going to be able to come back and get this one. So we got the Hornets tonight at Brooklyn as our top play, and the line is 3.5. I took 3.5 with Charlotte, and I did see it dipped down to 3 early this morning. So maybe the 3.5 is as high as it's going to be. But I think Charlotte's got a really good shot to win that game straight up, and the 3 points, he should be okay. This looks like it's going to be another great game tonight. So any points available are big. So we're going to go with Charlotte over Brooklyn.
All righty. What do we got for on this day, Bubby?
On this day, there's a couple that I really like, but, there was one I wanted to bring up just as a quickie. That was Lenny Wilkens. On this day, Lenny Wilkens in 1996, he became the first coach in the NBA history to reach 1,000 victories with his Hawks. And get this final score. They beat the Cavs that night, 74-68. Wow. I mean, that's halftime now, right? So anyways, that's his little tidbit, but you guys can jump in with any Lenny Wilkens stuff you have before I hit you with the big one I want to talk about. Anybody have any thoughts on Lenny Wilkens?
I know as a player, he's on the NBA's 50th All-Anniversary. Did you have something to say, Steve? Because if you've got something intelligent to say, I don't want to miss it. It's been over an hour.
I'm waiting on my $25 million.
You keep talking, so you can't have it. No, but Lenny Wilkens, I think, is a forgotten great player in the Basketball Hall of Fame, I think, as a coach and a player. And he got to the 1960.
Portland, didn't he? Did he play Portland?
He played at Portland, I think, towards the end of his career. He was mainly, if I remember right, he was a St. Louis Hawk, a Seattle Supersonic. I think he played for some really bad Cavs teams and some really bad Portland teams. The problem with him was he left Portland, or he retired after 75, and, of course, Portland wins it all in 1977. I think his biggest mark was as a coach, though. And the interesting thing about him is I think at Seattle and Portland, like the last 7 years of his career, he was actually an assistant coach and a head coach, or an assistant coach and a player. He took over, I think, in 1977, like mid-season for, I can't remember the name of the coach of Seattle back then, but he takes over for him, and they were horrible. By 1978, the very next year, he's got them in the NBA Finals, and they played a classic finals against Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes, Bobby Dandridge, Kevin Greavy, and the Washington Bullets. And this is one time where home court advantage didn't pay off, Steve, because in Game 7 at Seattle, Washington won it all and beat Lenny Wilkens. And then the next year, they came back and got a rematch in the NBA Finals and actually won in 5 games, and they clinched on Washington's home floor. I think it's still, to this day, it's the only championship that the Supersonics won. And I just remember that team was damn good. And then he went on, he coached Cleveland, too. Those were the Cleveland teams that would lose to the Bulls, it seemed like, every year in the playoffs.
Brad Daugherty, Mark Price?
Yeah, Brad Daugherty, Mark Price. And then he did a great job with Atlanta, and I think he was named the coach of the year, I think, in 93 or 94 with them. I know they got a high seed. I think the last time he coached was the Knicks in, like, 2005. But Lenny Wilkens was a great player. He was a great coach. And is he the winningest coach in NBA history still? Anybody know?
No, I don't think he is anymore.
Oh, is he not? Maybe he's not.
I think people. I thought that who's the Popovich passed him. I know he's got 1,000 wins, but I thought Popovich passed him, but I could be wrong. I don't.
What about
I might Google that real quick and look it up.
I don't want to Google anything today, Steve.
And anyway, it was Bob Hopkins was the coach of the Sonics when he was playing there, and then Wilkins took over. Hopkins was 5-17, and Wilkins went 42-18. God, I love Google.
Yeah. Well, so what you get is Steve reads what Wikipedia tells him, which is 50-50 on being right or wrong.
No, it wasn't Wikipedia. That was NBA stats. That was not Wikipedia.
Which is
so what are we, Don Nelson?
There. Huh?
What are we, Don Nelson?
Who is the winningest coach of all time in the NBA? Is it Cotton Fitzsimmons?
I thought you were looking it up.
No, I'm not looking it up. I'm looking up something else.
I got it right here.
Because I think he's still number
Don
one,
Nelson,
isn't he?
Don Nelson, Lenny Wilkens, Jerry Sloan, Greg Popovich.
How many games did Nelson win?
You know what? Here's the deal. I hired Jerry Sloan's son, Brian Sloan, who's now an ER surgeon. He worked for me at Pfizer for 3 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many games did Don Nelson
win? Why do you piss on me for that? Really?
Because I don't really care. How many games did Don?
I hire talent. I find great
for
people.
a big corporation that screws the American
I
people
bring
over
Cole
with
Hanna
medicines
into the
that just
fold,
make
and
them
you
sick.
bring Bobby Sheridan into the fold. Let's just do it, the math right there.
Okay, I got Randy Cross as a guest next week, and you got who?
Yeah, I'm like, I can't wait for that one. So
Exactly. So be
I'm
quiet.
living a dream.
Be quiet. I've had enough.
I got Ted Kitchen.
Don Nelson has 1,335 wins. Wilkins has 1,332. So Wilkins, was really
He needs to make a comeback.
1,221. Popovich, 1,211.
Right. Cole,
Bradley,
you're young. Do you know anything about Lenny Wilkins?
I do not.
Oh, jeez. All right, Bobby, what else on this day?
Wait. Now, I want to say something here. I want to say something because you're talking about Brad Doherty.
I never said anything about Brad Doherty.
We talked about him being a prominent player in the Cleveland when he was there. Bobby, what's the connection with Brad Doherty? What's my connection with Brad Doherty?
I can tell you.
Brad Doherty is now Brad Doherty's NASCAR thing. He's big in the NASCAR thing.
He owns a NASCAR team.
You know what I thought this was going to turn into?
Doherty Racing.
You know what I thought this was going to turn into? I thought this was going to turn into this. What do I have to do with Brad Doherty? That Bobby would have said, well, he played at North Carolina in the mid-1980s, and that's who you beat to get your wonderful ring, Steve, in 1981.
No, Mike, it's not. I'm trying to expand Bobby's horizons. I put him on my show. You don't put him on your boxing show. I put him on my NASCAR show.
He doesn't know anything about boxing.
He doesn't know anything about NASCAR, but we're trying to expand that because
I know is he picked the winner of the Daytona 500, and the guy you picked finished like 90th.
You preach.
Yeah.
I teach, you preach.
I teach you.
And I bring him on, and so it's a little quiz for Bobby.
A little quiz
Brad
for
Doherty,
Bobby.
What's his connection? And he caught it right away. See? He doesn't know crap about boxing because you preach. Yeah. You don't teach.
No, I don't have any reason to teach because you're an idiot. Cole, Steve's an idiot, isn't he?
What was that?
Hey, Steve.
Yo.
Steve,
yeah.
Brian Sloan didn't play a lot at Indiana, and he wasn't a major
cause. He played a lot.
He was a good
screen 45. Brian Sloan played a lot. He played more than Risley did.
Yeah, he's number 45. He played great. He was a great play role. He was a Risley. I mean, he was a better version of Risley. Mike, I said that before Mike could get out of his mouth.
You were a
He's a better version of me. But he was a role player who filled his spot and was one of Knight's. That's why Knight won championships, because he built role players. And Brian Sloan was a great role player, and he came to work for Pfizer along with Pat Graham, who I also had working for me at a time. And I can't say this on air. I'll tell you the story offline. I can't say it on air because I don't want to get us in trouble.
Okay.
But I'll tell you the story offline.
You know what? Wait a second. What I want to know is this. What I want to know is this. I have a very important question for Steve. Is this the Brian Sloan that when I looked him up played at IU, or is this the Brian Sloan that is a creator of sex toys and adult-themed beauty pet contests?
It may be both, for all I know. I don't know what he did after he left me.
The Brian Sloan that pops up on Wikipedia immediately has hosted numerous vaginal beauty contests, a scrotum beauty contest, and Steve,
on all of our field rides, we talked about that on all of our field rides, so that's weird.
And if Steve, you would love this, but he also hosted an anus beauty contest, which Bobby Sheridan in 1993 placed third in.
Just remind me to tell you the story offline. I cannot tell it online because it will just not play well on social media.
Well, Brian Sloan will then
I'm not going to bring it up. Brian Sloan is a fine, but here's the deal. What he got me one time for the biggest doctor in our territory, his dad was coaching the Bulls at the time. And he got two Michael Jordan signed basketballs for me, which we gave to two of the biggest doctors, and we got their business.
Which was,
and there's why you pay so much. There's why you pay so much for your drugs, right there.
I don't pay anything because I don't use drugs, because I'm smart enough to stay away from anything you ever have anything to do with.
You eat dandelions and collard greens. I get it. No problem.
Why do you always
Go
have to
ahead,
mock
Bobby.
me? Why do you have to
We're
mock me
rudely interrupting
constantly?
you. You're 15 minutes of fame, Bobby. Get back on track.
Steve, he coached the Bulls for 4 seasons, the last season being 82 when Jordan was still at North Carolina. He then was Utah.
He got me an autographed basketball somehow. He knew the trainer. He knew the trainer or something. But somehow I got 2 autographed Michael Jordan basketballs and got them from and Brian got them for me. And we passed them out to 2. And those doctors still have those balls on their mantle. So there
Are you talking
go.
about your balls?
No, my balls aren't worth crap. They're not worth anything. I need Viagra. What the hell? I get it free too. So
balls or Viagra?
Oh, both.
Oh man,
Bobby, your 15 minutes of fame are running. Go talk.
Well, I mean, this is the one I wanted to talk about if we still have time.
Yep.
Oh hell yeah, we got all the time in the world.
No, we don't. But we got
1993,
time.
on this day, Yankees owner George Steinbrenner is reinstated as general partner of the team. He was banned because of his relationship with convicted gambler Howie Spira. What do you got for me, Mike?
Are you a convicted gambler?
No.
Are we going to get banned?
No. Hold on.
No.
Now, I don't remember much
That was
about
funny.
Spira.
Okay,
the thing
Mike,
I
that was
remember
good.
about Spira was this. Wasn't he suspended from baseball for like 3 years for paying Spira $40,000 to go out and find dirt on Dave Winfield?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. That's about all I remember. I don't remember a lot. I know that Spira worked like for Winfield's foundation, and Winfield... I think what the story was is Winfield had a charitable organization that was non-profit, and Spira said that Winfield, tell me if I'm wrong here, because you probably know, this is one you probably should just talk about, but I think that Spira offered to provide proof to Steinbrenner that Winfield was misusing charitable funds from Winfield's foundation.
That's correct.
And I think... Let's see. I think Spira, didn't he try to extort money from Steinbrenner also for something else? That's all I remember. I'm kind of shaky on that one.
Yeah, I think from my remembrances too, you're right on top of all of it. And they since have kind of, well, before George Steinbrenner died, they tried to kind of put their differences in the past, and I know that it ended that way, but it was just significant because you got Steinbrenner was the Jerry Jones, let's just say, of baseball, right? That's a pretty good analogy. And he was, he won a lot of championships, and
he was smarter than Jerry Jones.
For his agency, and
not really.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't.
He
agree.
built ships.
He
He built big ships.
This is the thing. George Steinbrenner, the Yankees 76, 77, 78, 81 were all really good, but he went from 82 to like 96, spending more money than anybody and consistently finishing in the bottom half of the AL East too.
Well, yeah, and
He
during that time,
he sold out every game at Yankee Stadium, though. He was making
No, he
tons
didn't.
of cash.
That is, you're so full of shit, Risley. You just randomly blurt out facts you have no basis for. Look at the New York Yankees attendance in the 1980s. Look at it in the early 90s. They didn't sell out Yankee Stadium. I mean, come on.
they went
Risley.
through
Season tickets, Mike. They didn't fill the
No,
seats. They had
no,
season ticket
bullshit.
sales.
They did not sell 60 or 70,000 season tickets for the 1989 New York Yankees.
Mike is correct.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Also on this day, too, was on the same day that this was John Lennon's last concert he ever did in Madison Square Garden with Elton John.
And Elton John was just in Cincinnati for a concert in the last week.
There you go. Yeah.
And this was also the day that Mickey Mantle announced his retirement.
He was in L.A. last Sunday. So there you go. I'm one up on you there, too.
No, you're
Hey,
not.
Mike, did you know that Mantle, you probably for sure know he had 536 home runs, but did you know that he hit 298?
Yeah, he was
He's
damn
not
good.
bad.
Yeah, that's why it was Willie, Mickey, and the Duke. They could do it all.
Yeah, but I thought his
Mickey
career
Mantle was a great baseball player.
Yeah, but if you remember, Mickey Mantle may have broken every record. Remember, he stepped in a hole in the outfield in New York and was never the same after that because he was even a great base stealer early on in his career. I mean, the dude could run like Willie Mays, and then he had the knee injury or leg injury, and I don't think he was ever the same as what he was before. But
where was he from, Mike? Oklahoma? Oklahoma or Nebraska?
I don't even. Where was
I think he was Oklahoma.
I think it was.
No, I thought he was from Oklahoma.
But
yeah, I mean, what a great. I mean, one of the greatest baseball players ever played the game. And I don't know a lot about baseball, but you talk about Mickey Mantle, and just what a player.
Well, who's today's Mickey Mantle? Today's Mickey Mantle.
It's not Bryce Harper.
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, no doubt.
Bryce Harper is the new Wells Fargo or Chase Bank. I want to ask that question before we end, too. What everybody thinks about that deal.
So, in 1984, the New York Yankees were 6th out of 14 teams in the American League in attendance. I just figured I'd
I'm wrong.
randomly
I apologize. I admit I'm wrong. All right, I'm wrong.
Okay. They were never higher than 4th in attendance in the 1980s.
Okay, I'm wrong, Mike. You caught me. Thank you.
Steve, you're right on this one. Mickey Mantle was born in Savannah, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mickey Mantle is only the second greatest player ever born in Oklahoma.
Who's the first?
Johnny Bench.
It was Johnny Bench born in Oklahoma? Yeah.
Yeah, Bangor, Oklahoma.
Well, I don't. Mike, would you put Johnny Bench ahead of Mickey Mantle?
I'd
really?
put Johnny Bench ahead of anybody. He played the toughest position.
Really?
He was by far the only catcher that even gets close to Johnny Bench is Yogi Berra.
Well, we're not talking catchers. We're talking player.
Yeah, but you know what? If you give me the choice of taking Mickey Mantle in center field or Johnny Bench at catcher, I'm taking Johnny Bench at catcher every time.
Okay. All right. I have no rebuttal. I'm just asking.
I know
your
Bobby
opinion
probably
because, you're the
disagrees
baseball...
with me, but Bobby?
Well, I agree with you. He's the best catcher of all time, but as overall rank, I don't see.
Yeah. How many home runs did Bench hit, Mike?
What does that have to do with anything? He didn't play near as many years or have near as many at-bats. He hit more home runs than any catcher at the time ever had, 389. But the thing to remember about Johnny Bench is he had that spot that had to be removed from his liver or lung in 1970 at the end of the 72 season. Up until that point, he was batting 298, averaging 40 home runs a year and 130 RBIs. Once they took that spot off, he was never the same.
Yeah. Plus, I love Johnny Bench. I mean, I'm just saying Mantle versus Bench, that's a good debate. That's a good debate.
It's really, it's not because they played entirely different positions. I think the better debate is there any outfielder you would take before Mickey Mantle, Steve?
Yeah. I mean, Willie Mays wouldn't fit in there?
Well, I think the one I'd take is Babe Ruth.
Did Babe play? He did play right field, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and he pitched. That's why I would take Babe Ruth.
He pitched, yeah. Well, does he not still hold? The Babe Ruth still holds some pitching records, are they all wiped out?
Does he still hold the World Series record for most consecutive scoreless innings of 18, Bobby, or do you know?
I don't know, but I think that sounds like he probably does.
Well, Google it, Bobby. Jesus.
Hey, Cole, do you know who Babe Ruth is?
Cole, Google it. Google it, Cole. Come on.
Well, you never know. I had to tell Steve before the show.
I'm just the color guy,
and I'll tell you this. I think Hank Aaron gets vastly underrated because Hank Aaron is like third on the all-time hits list at like 3,700. And people talk about how good Rose was. But
Mike,
Hank Aaron had a higher batting average and also hit about 5 times more home runs.
We're on a tangent now, which is what there's always fun about the On This Day thing. Mike and Bobby and I have talked about this. We go off on a tangent. Is Hank Aaron really that great of a baseball player, or did he just? No. Okay, Mike, I'm not forming an opinion. I'm asking you a question. We know what his statistical records were.
He's hit more home runs than anybody that ever lived.
Did he win a World Series? Did Hank Aaron ever win a World Series?
Yeah, 1958 with the Milwaukee Braves.
Okay. Did he? Okay. Fine. Fair. All right. I mean, I'm not judging him. I'm just asking you a question.
Actually,
is Hank
you
Aaron
asked us to
a
judge
statistical?
him
Is he a Dan Marino or is he a Tom Brady?
Well, this is what he is. Lifetime batting average of 305, 3,771 hits, 755 home runs, batted in over 2,000 runs. And remember, these are dropped off because his first year as a professional baseball player was with the Indianapolis Clowns, which was in the Negro Leagues at the time. And then he went to Milwaukee with the Brewers in 1954. He was a 25-time All-Star. Or 20-time All-Star.
Okay.
Won the World Series in 57. They lost in 58 to the Yankees in 7 games. He was a National League MVP in 57. 3 Golden Gloves, 2-time batting champion, 4-time home run leader, 4-time National League RBI leader. I think he's one of the most underrated players of all time, Bobby.
Okay.
I agree. And the thing about Aaron that's unbelievable is he the leading home run guy at 755, and he never hit more than 40.
Yeah. He was just consistent.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
He never hit more than 40 home runs in any one year? Really?
No.
Seriously?
It was just consistent every year, 30 to 40.
Yeah.
That's how he did it.
So he's kind of like a Nolan Ryan. He just did it for over a long period of time. Just
and
stayed in the game long enough.
And these sacred numbers is what really got the steroids people, the anti-steroid people really mad because we really didn't care.
I agree with
the
you.
linemen took it and all the football took it. We didn't really care. But you know what? When Hank Aaron's records are broken by Bonds, because Bonds is beefed up on this stuff for 10 straight years, hitting 70, 60, 70, 60, and then all of a sudden he's got more. I mean, people were mad. And Bonds was a great player in his own right, but he was going to end up with 320 home runs and 400 stolen bases and a 310 batting average, and he was going to be a great player. But then when he ballooned up to 800 home runs or whatever over 10 years of taking the steroids, people got mad. And, and I don't blame them,
Bobby, didn't they juice the ball and cork the bats and they let that crap all go on, because they wanted the game to be more offensive. Mike, is that right? Is that fair assessment, Mike?
Because they wanted to hide the fact that steroids, they wanted to make believe it was out of the game, which it's not. So it's got to be other reasons. It's the launch angle. It's the ball being, it's the this, the that. Well, no. These guys are still taking performance-enhancing drugs, okay? Bottom line.
No.
So.
Well.
Yeah, that was a shame for Hank Aaron because, what Hank Aaron did. I mean, Mike, who did he hit the home run off? It was the Dodgers, wasn't it?
Al Downing.
Al Downing of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
They were playing at Atlanta, right?
Yeah, tied the record on opening day against the Reds. I think Jack Billingham was the pitcher. I'm not 100%
Billingham
sure
gave
on
up
that.
tied record, yeah.
And then I remember their
remember
first
watching
week
that.
was on the road, and they didn't play him the rest of the games in Cincinnati because they wanted him to break the record in Atlanta. But, Hank Aaron was a great baseball player. And
fair.
Just think how much money he would make today.
Yeah.
I mean, because you take him,
no doubt.
Look at his average for like a 10-year period was probably like 42 home runs, 125 RBIs, and batting 320. That'd be worth like $1 billion a year now, Bobby.
Well, yeah. And have you seen Hank Aaron? In the last few years, he's aged so well.
Yeah.
The guy is just.
Yeah, he doesn't look much different, does he? He's got gray hair. It doesn't look much different.
Yeah, he just looks great. He just was born to be Hank Aaron. And what he had to go through with the racial stuff, I mean, it's a pretty great story. I've read all that stuff.
All right, guys. Cole,
wait, I have a question.
I
have one last question. Can you just do a poll real quick?
Jesus. Sure, we'll do
Bryce
a
Harper.
real quick poll.
Let's do Bryce Harper. Let's go around the horn. That's good, around the horn. How about that? That's a baseball terminology.
There's already a show called that, too, by the way. So go ahead.
I know, but we're not. Cole, what's your thoughts on Bryce Harper and the $13,330,000 deal? Stupid or not?
He's a very good player. It's a lot of money, a lot of years. I don't think it's a great contract, but hey, if the owner wants to pay it, good on him.
Cole, or Bobby, next.
Bryce Harper was a better deal than Machado, and Philadelphia just wanted to make sure they got one of them. There was talk of them trying to get both. The owner was going to get one. He was going to do whatever he had to do to get Harper, and he got him. He and his wife flew out to Vegas and brought the family aspect into this. sat down with Bryce Harper and really talked to him and calmed any fears he had about taking the highest contract ever. And the guy's a gamer. He will get his uniform dirty. The Philadelphia fans will love him because he's not at all a Machado or a guy that won't play hard. They're going to respect how he plays. In that ballpark in the summer, he is going to just hit home run after home run. It's a great deal. And the National League East is going to be an unbelievable division to follow all year, guys. All year.
Okay. I'm betting with you. I'm giving you my money here when baseball season starts. I'm sending you a check or putting money in your account. You're going to bet it for me. So we're going to do that. I'm not going to give you my password and everything. I'm not even going to look at it. You're just going to bet it. It's up to you. I know where the Inland Empire is now, so I'll come and kill you if you lose my money. I think basically, I think he's 7 years into the league right now. Correct, Bobby?
Yeah.
And so you're banking on a 20-year career at $330 million because you're paying him 13 years. That's a risk.
Well,
that
who cares?
To me, that's not a good investment. Not a good investment.
Who cares what happens in the year?
Mike, I got another question for you, Mike. Hang on, Mike. Go ahead, Bobby.
Who cares what happens in the last 5 years of this contract? We already know it's going to, the last year.
Well, I would hope the Phillies are still paying him.
Well, but the whole bottom line is right now, if he can win 2 or 3 world championships in the next 7 or 8, if he can help put him over the top, it's all good.
Okay. All right, Mike, is it a good deal?
It's a lot better deal than the Angels gave Albert Pujols, I'll tell you that. And I love Albert Pujols.
Well,
the guy's in his prime.
We could do another show on the fact that I think baseball makes the most ridiculous contract offers of any sport there is. Not the NFL and the NBA don't even do as stupid things that baseball does in terms of offering players money and the longevity of the contracts. So, Mike, is it a good deal for the Phillies? And secondly, Mike, because I value your opinion, are the Phillies now a World Series contender with Bryce Harper coming on board?
I think from what I said yesterday, it's obvious they are even without Bryce Harper. So, Bryce Harper, to me, he's inconsistent. I think for a year or two it may be a great deal. I just worry about what happens after that. But if you could win one World Series, it's worth it. And, Bobby, I think the National League Central is the best division in the National League.
No.
The Miami Marlins are in the National League East.
Well, that race there with those 4 teams, that is going to be something else.
What, the Mets, the Phillies,
Braves won it last
and the Nationals? Yeah.
And the Mets.
I'm telling you this, every team in the Central could win that division.
Who?
Every team in the National League Central could win the National League Central.
Right, you're including the Pirates, and you can't include the Marlins, but you can include the other 4. The Mets have the best starting pitching in the division.
The Pirates, I think, are a lot better than the Marlins, though.
Yes, but isn't that what we're saying?
They have nicer uniforms. I think nicer uniforms.
What a year it's going to be. Guys, what a year it's going to be. And that's why the Dodgers in that Western Division, wow. What a year. I can't wait. Till baseball.
All righty.
Okay. All right. Here's some public service announcements. Remember to change your clocks on March 10th, everybody that's listening to us right now. If you're still listening, you're idiots if you're still listening. We've been on way too long. But
I stopped listening
March
10 minutes ago.
I know. We could tell. March 10th, change your clocks. Everybody, spring forward, fall back. So spring forward, you're going to set your clocks up an hour, March 10th. All right. Mike, wrap it up.
All right, guys. Remember, you can hear all the Grueling Truth shows on iHeart, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find the Grueling Truth. Check out Bobby Sheridan at Sheridan Report, thesheridanreport.com. Check out Cole Hanna at Cole Hanna5, Steve Risley at S Risley 34, and I'm Mike Goodpaster. You can find me at Grueling Truth, and you've been listening to the Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.